Sports fans and friends, thanks for tuning in on the Shotgun Sports Network YouTube channel, Facebook, or wherever you get your podcasts. Please smash the like and subscribe buttons and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we post new content. Also, go check out all of our great shows on the Shotgun Sports Network. Scout and Catherine host the Elks Call, bringing you all the latest from the Edmonton Elks and Edmonton sports scene. Oz and Joe host the Rouge, White, and Blue podcast, talking about the Montreal Alouettes, Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and CFL in general. And Clay, Will, and Sir Douglas host the Argos Fancast, where they discuss the Toronto Argos. All of these great CFL shows are all brought to you by Royal Retros. Click the link in the description of this video and use code Stamps Roundup for 10% off Royal Retros. Great retro gear from leagues such as the CFL, USFL, XFL, WFL, WHA, IHL, NLB, MLB, and more. This is episode number 10 of Stampeders Roundup, and this week former Calgary Stampeders player and current President Jay McNeil popped in to talk about the Stamps and some other CFL talk. But first, let's do the Calgary Sports Update, brought to you by Rampage Coffee Company. You think real football fans drink weak corporate coffee brewed in some lifeless boardroom in the States? Hell no. We drink Rampage coffee, roasted in Canada by people who probably yell at the TV just like you. This coffee doesn't care about your feelings. It's aggressive, it's bold, it's the middle linebacker of coffee. And if your taste buds can't handle it, maybe this podcast isn't for you either. Use my affiliate link in the show notes and use the code STAMPS10 to get 10% off. Save a bit of cash and support three great Canadian things: football, this podcast, and not putting up with crap coffee. Rampage Coffee, because weak brews are for crossover teams. The Calgary Flames announced their 2025-26 preseason schedule, starting with a split squad matchup against their provincial rival Edmonton Oilers on September 21st. Followed by a home game against the Seattle Kraken September 23rd. The Flames then hit the road against the Vancouver Canucks September 24th, Winnipeg Jets on the 27th, and the Kraken again on September 29th. The Flames return home to close out the preseason on October 1st against the Canucks and October 3rd against the Jets. The Calgary Flames announced today that they have re-signed forward Clark Bishop to a one-year, two-way contract extension. Bishop spent majority of the 2024-25 season as captain of the Calgary Wranglers in the American Hockey League, putting up a career season in points with 19 goals and 19 assists for 38 points in 66 games. The Flames also extended qualifying offers to forwards Morgan Frost, Rory Cairns, Sam Morton, and Connor Zary, along with defenseman Yan Kuznetsov and Jeremy Poirier. The Calgary Flames will be hosting their annual development camp for 24 prospects, beginning on ice July 2nd at Winsport. The purpose of the camp is to enhance each player's development process through direction on conditioning and familiarity with the Flames organization. 4 Calgary Hitmen were selected in the 2025 NHL entry draft this past weekend. Ben Kindle was selected 11th overall by the Pittsburgh Penguins, followed by Brandon Gorzinski, 126th overall by the Dallas Stars, Cale Dock, 201st overall by the Penguins, and Aiden Park was selected 223rd overall by the Edmonton Oilers. The Calgary Roughnecks are in their off-season, but 2025-26 season tickets are now on sale. For ticket info and news, check out calgaryroughnecks.com. The Calgary Cavalry FC lost to Atletico Ottawa 2-0 on Saturday. The Cavalry currently sit in third place in the Canadian Premier League with 6 wins, 3 losses, and 3 draws. The Cavalry's next match is Tuesday, July 8th against Vancouver FC. Sports fans and friends on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be notified when we go live or post, and like and follow at Stamps Roundup on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. All right, let's get to the latest Calgary Stampeders news. The Calgary Stampeders were on a bye week this past week, so no game news and notes. Stay tuned here as I'll be chatting with former Calgary Stampeders player and current president, Jay McNeil. And go check out stampeders.com for more reactions, interviews, stats, news, and more. The Stampeders have signed American linebacker Kyle Wilson. Wilson played 51 regular season games for the Hamilton Tiger Cats and was the Ticats' leading tackler last season with 88. Wilson joined CFL veteran Adam Bighill, who was signed last week as well. Sports fans and friends on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be notified when we go live or post, and like and follow at Stamps Roundup on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Now let's get to my chat with former Calgary Stampeders player and current president, Jay McNeil. I got Calgary Stampeders president Jay McNeil here to talk about the Stampeders and more. Do I call you Mr. President, or is Jay fine?
Always Jay.
Excellent. You played on the Stamps O-line from 1994 to 2007. Played in 4 Grey Cups and won 2 of them in 1998 and 2001. Start by telling us what it was like for you winning your first Grey Cup.
That's a good question. So I came to the team in 94, as you mentioned, and that was 2 years after the team had won in 92. So we had a lot of players left, that were still around from that 92 team. And, certainly they shared stories of how great it was. They wore their Grey Cup rings wherever, whenever we were traveling and those sorts of things. So I think, as a player, you have high expectations about how great it will be. And I would say, so over the course of the 90s, we probably should have won more than we did because we were such a good team. For whatever reason, that's what makes football so much fun. We didn't. So when we finally got there in 98, and we kicked a last-second field goal to win the game, I can say this, that it exceeded my expectations by 100. It was so much better than I thought it would be, and it was one of the best feelings in the world. And one of the biggest things is, you do this with your brothers day in and day out, and you literally blood, sweat, tears to get there, and to do that with them, best feeling in the world.
Yeah, and quarterback Jeff Garcia was named MVP of that game, and Marcus Crandall, quarterback, was MVP of the 2001 win. So obviously you did your job in those games.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a few that they remember that I might have missed my job. But yeah, no, I mean, both those guys were so special. They had the ability to make you look good as an offensive lineman, which we love.
And Wally Buono was the head coach from the time you arrived until 2002. What was it like being coached by one of the best coaches in CFL history?
Yeah, he was great. I mean, I give him a ton of credit. After we won the 2001 Grey Cup, I should maybe back it up. Halfway through that season, I remember him speaking to the team and saying, "Hey, this." I think halfway through we were 3-6. Like, we weren't very good. And he said, this season will be whatever the players want it to be. And so if we make our minds up as players, that we're going to do something special here, we can go do that. And look, lo and behold, we finished 8-10, barely made it into the playoffs, and then we went on a pretty good run, and we won the Grey Cup in Montreal. And afterwards, I remember him saying, "I give all the credit to the players." Because ultimately it was them who decided, and so that was just one example of what playing for Wally was like. He's the greatest coach in CFL history, or the greatest and most winningest coach in CFL history for a reason, and he was very special.
Yeah. Now, you won the President's Ring twice for excellence on and off the field. Yeah. I just watched you present that award to Stamps receiver Reggie Bagleton at Fanfare. Tell us what it takes to be awarded the President's Ring.
Yeah, really, it's all about leadership. And what you do on the field obviously is very, very critical, but it's also what you do off the field, in the locker room and in the community, and how you represent the Calgary Stampeders organization. And so, yeah, like I said, strictly about that leadership perspective, and what makes it so special that it's voted on by your peers, right? That your players are the ones who make that decision, and so that makes it just that much more special.
Yeah, now turning to your present role as president, you oversee all areas of operations and represent the team at the league level. Obviously, you had a hand in bringing the new turf into McMahon and Grey Cup. Tell us about being involved in things like bringing the Grey Cup to the city of Calgary.
Yeah, it is. One of the things that we recognize that you have 2 seasons like we had the past 2 seasons where you underperform. We have high expectations as an organization, and our fan base has high expectations for us. And so we realized that things were not working, and we needed to do things differently. And so we wanted to look at that from every aspect of our business. Prior to the season ending, obviously we had to bid on the Grey Cup, and that process started in April of 2024. So it happened before the end of the season, but we knew that the Grey Cup specifically could act as a catalyst for the organization and for good things to come, and how we might move forward as an organization. And then, coming out of 2024, we knew that we had to make changes on the field as well. And so the words we've been using, since the end of last year has been bigger and bolder. We want to be bigger and bolder in everything we do, on and off the field. And so the Grey Cup is an example. How we're marketing our team, how we're selling tickets, the Stampede Bowl that's happening next Thursday on July 3rd. Those are all examples of how we're being bigger and bolder and trying to do things differently as an organization.
You actually kind of walked right into my next question. CFL Commissioner Stuart Johnson was on Global News recently talking about the state of the CFL, and this has long been a topic of focus, saying only the Blue Bombers and Rough Riders made money last year, and obviously attendance numbers have been bad for a number of teams in the past few seasons. What's the key to getting more fans in the stands from your perspective? Is this topic being taken seriously and being discussed enough at the league and team levels?
It is. That's all we talk about from a business perspective, as an organization, as the Calgary Stampeders, and then as a league. And how do we do it as a league and all the member clubs? So that's all we talk about, is the strategy around how we are going to expand. Let's call it expand our reach. Out of our, how do we bring in new demographics? How do we, create fans that, out of people who maybe have never seen a football game before, all the way to the diehard fans, and how do we build those strategies? And the league we work very collaboratively with the league and with the different clubs, in sharing strategies and how they're doing. So for instance, Winnipeg, I spend a lot of time speaking with their president, Wade Miller, and how are you doing this and how are you doing that, and where have you had success, and what can we learn from? And so it is the focus of every club and the league, and how do we grow? And it's a lot of fun because I think we've taken the necessary steps and built a pretty good foundation on which to demonstrate some growth, and the next few years are going to be critical for the league.
Oh, I didn't realize that you guys work together so closely with other teams. That's great. I love it.
Very much so. And every market's a little bit different, and so not everything's going to work for what works in Winnipeg may not work in Calgary, but you can learn something from that, and how do you adapt, and how do you do something differently?
Now, you are a 5-time CFL All-Star and a 6-time CFL West All-Star, I believe, according to Wikipedia anyway. I have always wanted the league to have some sort of all-star game like they used to back in the old days. Do you think that would be something that would ever happen again to attract more fans and league exposure?
I think everything's on the table. From a revenue generation standpoint, to expanding our reach, to growing the brand, I think everything's on the table for discussion. The All-Star game specifically, you're asking players who play 20 games in a year, which we know this is a physically demanding sport, to add another one to that. So I think it's not as easy as just saying, yes, we're going to do that. We have to work with the Players Association and get, that's so, but I think, like I said, we're open to, new ideas, old ideas. How can we do things bigger and better as a league?
I'd like to sprinkle in a few fan questions if you don't mind. S Huds 16 on Blue Sky asks, when are you bringing back the women's It's a Snap event?
Well, I mean, certainly, fundamentally, we think about how do we build, expand our reach with different demographics, females being one of them. Specifically, It's a Snap. The reason why sort of it went away, prior to the pandemic was, we had the same group of ladies coming, which is fantastic. But the whole idea was how do we grow the game within the female demographic. So we are strategizing on how we reimagine a women's event, in collaboration with the Stampeders, and we're just working through those. So, again, Grey Cup acts as a catalyst. We want more women coming to the Grey Cup and the Grey Cup Festival, and so going into 2026, is that something that we can bring back some sort of ladies focused event.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Chris Matey on Facebook asks, what will the Stamps do to improve the game experience? Stadium is old and team is bleeding season ticket holders. It's another great question. Is there anything in the works to improve game day experiences, not only for the Stamps, but for the CFL in general?
Well, I mean, again, that's part of that, you growing the game is how do you, one of the things we strategize from the game experience piece is this is fundamental to the success. And how do we get people back in the stadiums is giving them something that they can't get on TV. And so that's what we talk about. And so, this year we've introduced a new introduction for our team that involves a fan tunnel and lights and music and those sorts of things. Yeah. Last year we introduced the Coors Lake Corral, and that is for for Gen Z and millennials, and how do they engage with our team and come to a game. We talk about it from a food and beverage perspective. You look at our food and beverage offering from last year to this year is very different. We've got Angry Chicken, we've got Taco in a Bag, we've got all these things that we're doing differently. Our gridiron guards before the game, our Stamps House post-game party. Everything we do is about having an end-to-end experience on game day and giving fans something that you can't get on TV.
Yeah, and speaking about the stadium being old, I personally love the old stadiums like McMahon and the old Taylor Field in Regina. But at some point, they have to be replaced. What's the current situation with talks of a new stadium in Calgary?
Well, when I started with the team 3 years ago, there was nobody talking about it.
Yeah.
And so today, all of the key stakeholders are talking about it. Still only talk. But the province is talking about it. The city is talking about it. All the different athletic groups within the city, the different stakeholders, whether it's the university, whether it's minor football, the Calgary Wild have now entered into that discussion. We're all talking about how do we drive forward with a new stadium. So progress, but again, it's all talking until we can start getting some action moving forward. That will be the telltale sign. I keep saying we replaced our turf this year. It's got a 7 to 10 year lifespan. And we're not going to replace it again. So we'll see if that comes true.
You heard it right here, Calgary. We're getting a new stadium within 7 to 10 years. Crazy Guy 5160 on Instagram asks, why did you choose Bret Michaels over a country band for the Stampede Bowl? Another great question. If you can, tell us who was on the short list of artists and why you picked Bret Michaels.
Yeah, well, first of all, I mean, what game day at McMahon, nothing but a good time, right? So that's one of his key songs. So that matched up perfectly. We wanted to get a name that had some recognition. I get it. He's an 80, like people my age recognize who Bret Michaels and Poison.
And my age, yeah.
And it's for lack of obviously Calgary. We have, roots in Western heritage. Country music is a big part of that, but it's something that we've done quite a bit. So we wanted to do things a little bit differently. And so that's sort of how the evolution of how we landed up on Bret Michaels. Now, it's also, there is a cost implications to it as well. And, and quite frankly, like when we met with him, he brought the energy that we're trying to create just on a phone call. And it's just, as he said, he goes, I guarantee that we're going to blow the doors off that day for your fans. So how do you not love that? Because that's what we're trying to do.
He's definitely got some high energy. I've never seen him live myself, but everything I've seen has just been 110% energy.
Yeah, I can't wait. I think he's going to be he's going to surprise a lot of people.
With a bye week this week, the Stampede Bowl is up next against a very tough Winnipeg Blue Bombers team. Tell fans what makes the Stampede Bowl different from any other game.
Yeah. First of all, our goal was, to give our fans something special, something in addition to Labor Day in Saskatchewan, where we typically have larger crowds, and we wanted to create a third, sort of larger game. So sort of ticket sales are trending that way, and we're excited about this last week and what that can do. And then make it, we talk about the game day experience, make it something different, make this, the Stampede is such a, it's an iconic brand within our city. I think, people are very aware of the fun that surrounds around the Stampede, and we want to capitalize on that. And they've been great partners with us. So when you think about it, we're going to have the Calgary, the Stampede show band in the pregame. We're going to have a band playing in the pregame as well, Dawson Grave. So, and then we're going to have the Stampede royalty at the game, part of the coin toss. We're going to intersperse different aspects of entertainment throughout the game that are Stampede related, and really create something special. It's a time for the city to welcome guests and to host, not only Canadians, but North Americans and people from all over the world in a special event. And we want, our game, the Stampede Bowl, to be part of that, especially as we look forward to the 2026 Grey Cup, because that's what we're trying to recreate on a much bigger scale, obviously for the league and for Canada and beyond.
Yeah, certainly these theme games are something that definitely make a huge difference. And I'd personally like to see all 9 home games have some sort of a theme of, if that were a possibility. So yeah, something great.
Well, we do have themes for every one of our games. So for all home games, there are themes associated with it, but this one's on a much bigger scale than.
Oh yeah. Great chat. I'll post a link to any socials that you have. I look forward to speaking to you again, maybe later in the season, and hopefully we'll talk about a team that's heading towards the playoffs.
Okay. I love it. That's the plan. So I love that.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Jay. You have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, thanks, you as well.
That does it for me here at Stampeders Roundup. Big thanks to Jay McNeil for taking time out of his busy schedule to chat about Calgary Stampeders. Go check out all of the great CFL shows on the Shotgun Sports Network, including Argos Fancast, Rouge, White, and Blue, and the Elks Call. From myself and my friends on the Shotgun Sports Network, thanks for listening.